Hey guys, welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today we're gonna be talking about my edge rushers in the 2024 NFL draft. I've done interior defensive linemen, I've done offensive linemen. Now I'm doing the edge rusher position. Now this can be defensive ends and at 3-4 outside linebackers. Just edge rusher in general. These are my positional rankings pre-NFL combine. If you guys do enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification button notified when I post next. Let's get into this video. Edge rushing rankings pre-NFL combine. So honorable mentions, not my top three guys, just some honorable mentions that are, worthy of mention. Chris Braswell, also from Alabama. I think Chris Braswell is definitely one of the guys that shocked me the most when I've watched some of his film. He has violent hands with speed and power. When he's coming off the edge, he can be that mix of. I think he's a guy that doesn't come off the field, right? Like there's some guys that when they're on the defensive line, they're only third, fourth down guys, so they're not on the field during the rundowns. But I think Chris Braswell, he's very violent when he does come off the edge. He has speed rushing and power rushing versatility. In my opinion, I think he uses this frame to forklift blockers. So basically, like the forks of a forklift, grabs hold of blockers and lifts them up. Like I think he uses his frame and those violent hands to get the best position he can and push blockers off their feet, from the toes onto their heels, and that's what he does. He uses his bounce to get around those blockers after he forklifts them. I really do believe that Chris Braswell can develop. He turns his pressures into sacks. He had 13 in 2023. In 2022, he definitely had not as good of a season, but he developed in 2023, turned his pressure rates into more sacks. He's not the threat like guys above him. I still think Chris Braswell has room to grow. He's not the athletic freak as some guys, but he's just a solid pass rusher. A good comp, in my opinion, is Alex Highsmith. I think he can be that number two pass rusher on a top 10 defense. Don't think he'll ever be a defensive player of the year guy. It's a guy who is a good pass rusher. I could see him rise in my rankings. Again, I think the way that he forklifts blockers is really impressive as a not top three guy. I think he's a guy that a lot of teams are gonna want. He might be like the Brandon Cooks of the NFL, where he bounces around year to year, kind of like Kyle Van Noy. This plays his role, plays it really well, and he's gonna get paid a lot of money. So my grade is a first round grade on Chris Braswell because of that. Next we have Adisa Isaac. I love Adisa Isaac. I think he's one of the better speed rushers in this class. I love his bendiness. When you watch Adisa Isaac, you're watching a guy who gets like that. Like if this is the floor or the ground, he's that bendy. Like he's all the way about to touch the ground just to get around blockers. I see him as a pressure or a hurry machine in the NFL. I think Za'Darius Smith is an interesting comp, but Za'Darius definitely uses power more than speed. But I think he's gonna be a pressure machine. He's gonna make guys. I don't think anything's gonna turn the sacks immediately, but with his speed, he's gonna make guys uncomfortable, make a move up in the pocket, and cause another guy to get a sack. He might take some time to get the NFL muscle. As you can see in this picture, he has muscle on him. But if you would have shown me this, I would have thought he's a cornerback. Like I could see this being a corner in the NFL. He's added a little bit more muscle to help that frame out. He's a bendy athlete more than a pure pass rusher. But lots of GMs and DCs are moving towards more athlete than football player. And I think his comp is a Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe is the exact same thing. He's an athlete playing defensive end. I think Kwity Paye was also a guy like that. He's a really bendy athlete that is playing pass rusher. I think Adisa Isaac is going to be another guy in that mold. I think he can develop into a really good player. It just depends on what team he goes to if they're willing to commit to that idea of don't make him a power rusher, make him the guy that causes guys to get sacks. My grade is a second round grade on Adisa Isaac. Again, my honorable mentions is never in order, but Adisa Isaac is one of my favorite pass rushers in this class because I think immediately will cause a great pressure rate for a rotational pass rusher year one. Next, we have Laiatu Latu. I don't have him in my top three, but I do have him, as one of the better pass rushers in this class. He's a great pass rusher. He has power and a speed mix. I don't know how much better he can be, though. I think Laiatu Latu has honestly hit his ceiling already. Now, his ceiling was 19 sacks this past season at UCLA. Great ceiling for a pass rusher. But I just don't know how much more he can get better. He had to medically retire, for God's sake, and go to UCLA once he was medically cleared. But for a guy who had to medically retire, I'm never gonna drop him I'm never gonna have him ranked higher because I am a little worried about that. Now it's different when guys on draft night something like medically worries, like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on draft night. NFL teams got word that he might have a heart defect. No, it hasn't hindered him at all. Laiatu Latu, I had to medically retire in college. Like that is different than randomly, pops up. You have a medical issue. Then you have medical issues for the last 4 years. Like it's completely different. But he's currently a net neutral and run defending. I don't think he hurts you, but God for sure does not help you. He's purely a pass rusher. Don't know if he can be on all four down defensive ends. Don't know if that's what he can be in the NFL day one. So for me, I don't see the versatility, as a run defender. I think a comp is a Lucas Van Ness, a Nolan Smith, a pure power pass rusher that can have some speed on him as well, but not a guy who can play every down. So my grade is a first round grade, but he's not one of my top 3 pass rushers. Then, last of my honorable mentions is Braylon Trice. Most people's number 3 pass rusher. For me, I like my guys more than Braylon Trice. I think Braylon Trice is definitely the 4th pass rusher ranked for me, though. He's very statistically dominant the last 2 years at Washington. He has turned every head when it comes to stats. But he mainly bloomed the second year. But the second year is when he started getting, starting snaps. Instead of 300 snaps in a season, he get 600 in a season. He's a fluid pass rusher who uses power to leverage with his speed. I wouldn't say he's the most speedy guy or the most powerful guy, but he uses the mix to be dominant in that niche where it's like you're not the most fast or powerful, but you use the mix to be good. He needs to work on his open field tracking. That's why when it comes to run defending, I think he needs to get a little bit better. When he breaks, like let's just say for example, right? He gets, instead of pass rushing, he fakes it, is asked to go in the coverage for a quick second. They dump it off to the running back. I would bet more that the running back is going to break Braylon Trice's ankles than Braylon Trice gets that tackle. I don't think that's a negative on him. Again, he's a pass rusher, but I do want to see guys that can be versatile in a defense. I think strong running backs will be able to beat him more than not. As I said, I think those stronger running backs in open field, they're gonna beat him more than he did beat them. My grade still is a first round pick. Is my 4th pass rusher off the board, but for me, I like my guys above him more than I like him at 3. At edge rusher number 3, I'm grabbing Chop Robinson. He's fallen down the draft boards. I don't care. Chop Robinson is still one of my favorite pass rushers in this class. He had a disappointing season. I 100% believe. I agree. Last year, I comped him to be a top 10 pick. He's not a top 10 pick, but I still think he's top 15. I think he has a higher upside than anyone in this class. He's a 3-down edge rusher. He can be a pass rusher and a run defending threat. As you can see, I put excellent run stopper. He is amazing when it comes to predicting running backs' movements, and he does not get beat that often at the defensive line. I think he has an all-pro ceiling as a pass rusher. So not only is he an excellent run stopper, he has the ceiling of an all-pro pass rusher. He has the fundamentals. He has the 3 technique. The 3-point stance down. He's really bendy. He knows how to get to the quarterback. Just for some reason, I don't know what it was this year. I need someone to tell me. I didn't watch that much Penn State defense. What happened to Chop Robinson? Like, this is a dude that I still think has all-pro ceiling. I don't know what happened to him. I need to watch more film on him because the one game I watched of him, he had 2 sacks. Like, I saw the all-pro ceiling in Chop Robinson, but it's just the stats didn't, line up with him. But stats aren't everything, Maybe he had amazing pressure rates. I didn't look at his pressure rates. But for me, I still think I see the building blocks of an all-pro player. I think he's become the best pass rusher from this class. I'll say it. I said it last year when it was Zay Flowers. I said, I think Zay Flowers can be the best wide receiver from this class in 5-10 years. And I'm so far so good, right? Like, he is the best receiver from last year's class. Right now, Chop Robinson, I'm going to say pre-NFL Combine, pre-heavy film watching of Chop Robinson, I think he has the fundamentals and the building blocks to be the best pass rusher from this class in 5-10 years. My grade, a top 15 pick. Don't think he's going to go in the top 15. But again, I'm predicting more for his future that we're going to be regretting not taking him in the first round. But yeah, top 15 grade for me. Next, we have edge rusher number 2. At number 2, I have Jared Verse. I think he's an athlete playing pass rusher, but already developed. So as as I said earlier, with Adisa Isaac, I think Adisa Isaac is an athlete playing pass rusher. I think Jared Verse is an athlete playing pass rusher, but he's already 2 years into his development further than Adisa Isaac is. He is a pure athlete at pass rusher. He doesn't stop arm fighting, so once he gets engaged with a blocker, he does not stop gaining leverage. He will continue to gain leverage. Some guys, they put their hand there and they just keep going. No, he's constantly trying to get his hand in the best position. I love that from pass rushers. He would have been a top 10 pick last year, more than likely. Um, I wasn't really high on him last year until like a week before the draft. I'm like, okay, let me sit down and watch some Jared Verse film. Okay. And I saw the building blocks. Again, had a great season at FSU. But to me, the most important part of him going back to FSU, he's a winning culture piece. He could have gotten a mega like he could have gone to a great team, had a great season, and earned him money, right? Like he could have gone to the NFL, got drafted, and already been on an NFL team and produced. But he said, no, I want to go back to college. I want to win a ring for FSU. Did it happen? No, but he had the mindset of I want to finish what I started, and I think that is a winning culture piece. I think we're gonna see when it comes to interviews. We have a lot of GMs talking about Jared Verse is a winning player. I think that is something that is really important. I think he's a hit year one, and I see him as a top 3 voter in Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't see Jared Verse not being in the top 3 when it comes to those votes at the end of the year. We saw Will Anderson win it this year. I think Jared Verse can be that pass rusher who is in the top 3 of voting next season. My grade is a top 10 grade, leaving obviously edge rusher number 1 to Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner is the first pass rusher off the board. As much as I like Jared Verse, I just think Dallas Turner is going to be the first guy off the board. He's improved every year of college. He played for Nick Saban. He played great for Nick Saban. And he has all the building blocks for a good pass rusher as well. I see shades of Will Anderson. I think he uses power when he needs to, but when he needs to get down and get bendy, he does it. Like Dallas Turner is a great pass rusher. He's an okay run defender. I think he needs to add more muscle to be a better run defender, but I think he's still, you don't want to. I would not take Dallas Turner off the field in a rundown. I think he's also a 3-down type of guy, but he's better at pass rushing than run defending for sure. He has dominant speed with great strength. He definitely relies more on his speed rushing, but once using his speed rushing, he gets the leverage on those blockers. He then uses his powerful arms and his great frame to plant that foot, plant that arm in the guy's chest, and go. So again, he uses speed more than his power, but once he gets the leverage with the speed, he then uses his great strength to get that push off the blocker to get to the quarterback. He added more techniques in 2023. He was purely a speed rusher in 2022. And then I watched the interview of him pre-season, him saying, yeah, I've added a lot more, whether it's swim moves, whether it's, it's planting that arm in a defender's chest and pushing him up. I've added more techniques to my game, and I think it really showed off in 2023. I thought he had a really great season. Obviously, statistically wasn't the best pass rusher, but I think when he was on the field and rushing the passer, he was the best one in the class this year. He needs to show willingness to keep learning. I don't know if, obviously, he showed willingness to keep learning. I misread that. When it comes to these, prospects going into the NFL, a lot of guys settle on what they are, right? They're coming to the NFL, said, you know what? My senior year of college, I had 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns. You don't got to tell me what I got to learn. I know what I'm doing. I hate that. Dallas Turner has already showed his junior year, his third season, the fourth season, said, you know what? I need to improve my game still. I'm going to add some techniques that I can help, to help me win more. He did it. So I think if he continues that into the NFL, he's going to be a truly dominant player for whatever team drafts him. I still think he'll be the first pass rusher off the board. I don't know if he's going to be the first defender. I really like Jer'Zhan Newton. I'm a big fan of Jer'Zhan Newton as a first defender off the board. But when it comes to pass rusher, I still think Dallas Turner is the first pass rusher. Again, needs to add more muscle for run defending. I think that is one of the weaker parts of his game, but it's still higher than a lot of guys that are on this list. My grade, top 10. I think he's going to be the first pass rusher, maybe the first defender off the board, but I'm a big fan of Jer'Zhan Newton. I think a lot of teams need that interior defensive line help. I think that Jer'Zhan Newton and Dallas Turner are pretty much like they're bang on the number one defensive lineman in their respective position. But I think Dallas Turner is the better player. But I think there's more need for a good interior defensive lineman than a good outside pass rusher. There's a lot of pass rushers in the NFL, but yeah, that's my rankings. We can go back through. We can go back through it. At honorable mention, we got Adisa Isaac, Chris Braswell, Laiatu Latu, and Braylon Trice. Again, all 4 of those guys, I still have first round or high second round draft value on them. At number 3, I have Chop Robinson. I think he's the best run defending edge rusher in this class. Jared Verse, I think he's the best pure athlete at pass rusher, but he's already developed further than when I say, like again, Boye Mafe was an athlete at pass rusher. I think Jared Verse is already better than Boya Mafe is currently in the NFL. And at number 1, I have Dallas Turner, potentially the number 1 defender that's going to get drafted in this class. Maybe not the best overall, but I think when it comes to value, with skill, with position, I think Dallas Turner will be the first defender off the board. But if you guys enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell to be notified when I post next. I love doing these videos, and I'm really excited post combine to see what these guys look like. But again, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.